Yevgeny Prigozhin is the leader of Russia's notorious Wagner mercenary group. When news broke that he may have died in a plane crash,
Yevgeny Prigozhin has been listed among passengers on board a plane that crashed just north of Moscow.
there were some who scratched their heads and said, he died again? Not everyone believes he is truly dead, because this would not be the first time he's been presumed dead. We'll get to that. But let's see how close to an answer we can get on two really central questions. What actually happened to Prigozhin's plane? And was he even on board to begin with? So we know the plane was traveling from Moscow to St. Petersburg. According to flight records, this was Prigozhin's private plane. And Russia's aviation authority says his name was on the flight manifest. About halfway on its trip, the flight became erratic. Strange fluctuations in altitude. Then,
Пиздец, это беспилотник. Сбили, бабахнуло в 2 раза, взорвалось, падает.
this is video that circulated widely. Hard for us to independently confirm, but note the smoke, maybe fuel spewing from the plane as it crashes. Note the fact that it appears to only have one wing. It literally crashes and burns. The investigating authority in Russia says all 10 people on board died. Black body bags were stretchered from the area, but no mention of Prigozhin specifically.
Right now we have no clarity on exactly why the plane went down. There are lots of theories circulating on social media at the moment.
Planes crash. It's happened many times before, most often due to genuine human error. So in this case, could there have been pilot error? Maybe. Hard to know. If there was a black box recorder on board, that may eventually shed some light. Could weather have been a factor? Probably not. The skies looked pretty clear. Was there some kind of technical malfunction?
With a lot of aircraft crashes, the vast majority of them happen on takeoff and landing. This one occurred in mid-air flight. That is relatively rare. So then you look at how the aircraft is falling. If there's one engine failure, or if both engines have failed, the aircraft would continue aerodynamic flight. This aircraft is spinning. It appears from all evidence, I mean, from your eyes, that it's at the very least missing one wing.
And this simply doesn't happen. Commercial airliners, commercial planes, modern aircraft do not lose a wing. In my decades of working on plane crashes, I've only had one commercial plane that lost a wing, and it was 54 years old.
That missing wing as the plane spiraled to the ground, combined with the timing of the crash, means most people have ruled out natural causes. The prevailing theory that this was probably on purpose.
So there's just so many clues here that this was an explosion on the plane or a missile strike.
Шойгу! Герасимов! Где боеприпасы?
Prigozhin's rise and fall is a story of worldwide interest because his mercenary group has been a key agent of Putin's global reach.
This is the grainy video posted on Wagner's social media channels that appears to show the mercenary leader greeting his troops in Belarus.
He's been instrumental in Russia's war in Ukraine.
The U.S. intelligence community believes Wagner had deployed around 40,000 prisoner recruits in Ukraine.
But most recently, he grew infuriated with the lack of progress in Ukraine and a feeling that his troops were being abandoned.
И те которые не дают нам боеприпасы, будут в аду! Жрать их потроха,
Back in June, Prigozhin famously marched on Moscow, one of the most daring and fastest failing mutinies of our time. Incredibly, within 24 hours of leading an armed rebellion, it ended, with Prigozhin making an 11th-hour deal that spared his life, saw him exiled, and left the world wondering, even if he walks free, is Prigozhin a dead man walking?
Putin likes to do a very demonstrative way of showing that if you betray him, you die. So I guess getting shot down over Russian territory by a missile or blown up out of the sky by a bomb would be pretty demonstrative.
So we've established a potential motive, but how do you take a plane out of the sky? Well, one way is from the inside. On the Wagner-linked Telegram channel Gray Zone, local residents reported hearing 2 loud bangs. Now, if we take that at face value, maybe those were explosions. But the missing wing is a real curiosity.
There was some sort of rumors that a case of wine was put on the aircraft last minute. The trouble is with that theory is that generally speaking, inside the aircraft, it blows out and therefore probably wouldn't take a wing off.
The nature of the wreckage, the debris pattern as it fell, even which specific parts of the plane are intact, all of these, with some investigation, could either support or quash the idea that there was some kind of onboard explosion. But there's another, more compelling theory. There are a few more clues that experts say make some sort of missile attack the most plausible theory for how that plane went down. On that same Telegram channel I mentioned a moment ago, witnesses also described seeing contrails in the air, 2 of them, to match the 2 bangs that they heard. But still, there's that missing wing.
As a surface-to-air missile system or an air-to-air missile system, generally tries to seek out the juiciest, meatiest parts of an aircraft, and that is where the wing spar joins the main aircraft, and therefore that would explain why it potentially could rip a wing off.
US officials are said to be considering this theory, that a surface-to-air missile is what brought Prigozhin's plane down. Reuters cited 2 confidential American sources who said this was likely what happened. Joe Biden himself weighed in when asked by reporters.
I don't know for a fact what happened, but I'm not surprised. There's not much that happens in Russia that is not behind, but I don't know enough to know the answer.
So there is one more theory worth talking about, and it's arguably the most salacious of them all, that Prigozhin wasn't on that plane, that this is all a trick. An elaborate way to fake his death, shed the ever-present threat of retaliation against him by Putin, and just disappear.
He's had to avoid sanctions. He's had to avoid detection by the West for years. The International Criminal Court would love to get their hands on him. So it's entirely possible that he could pull something like this off.
One of my Ukrainian friends texted me to say, I think he's in Argentina wearing a wig.
There are a couple reasons one might think this is something Prigozhin is capable of. One, he's died before. Consider this post from a professor at Moscow State University. Yevgeny Prigozhin reported dead in airplane crash in the Democratic Republic of Congo. That was in 2019. And as has now been widely reported, he very much survived.
He was supposed to be on a plane in the Congo, it crashed, and it turned out that Prigozhin wasn't on the plane. Prigozhin
would resurface 3 days later, to many people's surprise. But also consider his various disguises. When Russian state TV reported on police raids on Prigozhin's home in St. Petersburg, they also broadcast these photos, apparently selfies of Prigozhin wearing various disguises. They also found passports in Yevgeny Prigozhin's name, but featuring photos of different people.
There are people that travel under the name Yevgeny Prigozhin to try to divert attention from where he really is and where he's traveling. It's part of the security measures that Prigozhin takes.
And that's worth repeating, that this is a man so preoccupied with his own security that there are people who pretend to be him so as to protect him from harm. Then consider this, that according to the Gray Zone Telegram channel, there were 2 planes that took off from Moscow at close to the same time, both owned by Yevgeny Prigozhin. One crashed, the other touched down in St. Petersburg safely. So, if Prigozhin is alive,
he's going to have to hide really, really well because Russia has proven that they will hunt you down. And if this is some kind of deal, he better go get facial surgery and change his fingerprints and everything else because the rest of the world is going to be looking for him as well.
But look, these are all just theories, right? Very little is confirmed. There are most certainly answers out there, but in a country notorious for obfuscation, misdirection, even outright lies, we may never know the ultimate fate of the man who challenged Vladimir Putin head-on and lost.